You've heard about Einstein, right? I'm assuming.
The person.
He spent 10 years developing the theory of general relativity.
Hmm.
And he would work day and night. I hope so.
Hmm.
I don't know if he did actually. But I assumed he worked pretty hard.
Hmm.
He developed tensor calculus with his friend Mars.
Hmm.
I think he took Mars, his classmates' help as well, Grossman.
Hmm.
And he spent day and night doing that. When finally in 1990, पता नहीं कब हुआ था यार, fuck up the dates. When finally it was confirmed that GR's predictions are right, that was the peak of Einstein's fame.
Right.
Right. And a lot of us seem, when I see your profile from the surface level, oh, IEEE head, interested in neuroscience and this, has done so many research projects. Oh, and he also knows web development for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, this guy's pretty cool. He has his life sorted. This another thing we mentioned earlier, right? Very rarely do we see the work they put in, or you use the term opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Very rarely do we analyze what opportunities they said no to. So I just it's the things that we say no to that define us more than the things we say yes to.
Yeah.
Kind of like that attitude. So it's much harder to say no to something when you're committed to something that you're really excited about. And I'm sure you've said no to a lot of opportunities your time at Ashoka, club work, friendships even. So on the note of that, there's this triangle that you can either sleep, academics, or you get friendships. Yeah. To what extent is that really true for you?
I think again, like I count
In your
myself as
experience, yeah.
I count myself as a pretty lucky person. I am like usually I don't consider myself the most social person. Like I have a tight, like close circle of friends. I keep that small and like relatively small. And like I have like this expectations of like friendships being like working for me when they're low maintenance. Like otherwise I like they tend to like kind of die out myself.
Like not meeting, like meeting a couple of
Like
times a week, perhaps.
yeah, something like that. Or like maybe you guys just like work together or like, spend like get meals together and things like that. But like you don't need to like constantly do things for you to be friends. Like especially like my friends back at home and things like that. Like when I don't like texting them every day is impossible at Ashoka when you're in like this 13-week bubble of like constant coursework and like extracurricular and stuff like that. Like texting people back home every day is insane, or like even regularly. So like I there are friends who I just like go back to and like haven't talked to for 6 months, but just act completely normal, like we never like left each other. Those are the friendships that like work for me, and like I think that's been the case to like a smaller extent at Ashoka too. So like my social life hasn't been harmed too much by the sacrifices I make, but like definitely there have been opportunities, or there have been like things that I had to like say no to, or things that were definitely friendships that were a bit higher, or friendships or relationships that were a bit higher in like the requirement that, or the effort that I had to give in, but I couldn't because of like my perfection disorder where I have to get like A's in my course that semester. So things like that, like there are costs, but I think I was relatively like
Aware of them.
aware of them, and like it didn't affect me too that horribly. And I'm sure like it does affect people, and I think there is some truth to the triangle thing where you have to optimize for like optimizing for two of them might lead to like you doing bad in one of them. But for me, since my social requirements I think were a bit low to begin with, I was able to like not suffer or like not be miserable in any of the fields. And I still sleep like 9 hours a day.
So, do you know Alex Hormozy?
No.
So he's just a huge businessman.
Yeah.
Chris Williamson is a famous podcaster.
Okay.
And they released an episode a couple of months ago.
Hmm.
And one of the things he said is, he talked about how when he was really working hard on his business, going from place to place, just working 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
He's a pretty big guy. He hits the gym and shit like that. And he's pretty lean considering the size he has. He talked about how for 3 years, my priorities weren't my physique or even my diet. It was my business. So who gives a shit if for 3 years I'm not that healthy, or if I put a couple of kilos in? No. End of the day, 3 years later, I do have a good business, and now I can focus on my health. And he thinks about he talks about how he sees people who overly optimize life. Health ko bhi karna hai. I need to work towards a source of income. I need to work towards my coursework. And that's a person, and that's me. That's what I do. He said those people are extremely easy to beat because I don't need to sleep for 8 hours.
Yeah.
I can sleep for 6 hours and work 12 hours on my business. Also, I'm willing to sacrifice my health for that. I'm willing to sacrifice my social life for that. That's his philosophy of productivity.
Yeah.
For me, I need 8 hours of sleep, especially given the fact that I'm doing something that's very hard intellectually, man.
Exactly.
I need 8 hours and I need to work out. It helps me clear my head.
Yeah.
And I need to eat healthy as well. I can't live without vegetables. That's my productivity philosophy, so to speak.
Right.
I need exercise, I need healthy food and sleep. So, what is your approach to productivity? I'm just curious.
I think like yours sounds great. Like if you know what works for you, I think that's perfect. That's all you need, because you just need to like be confident that you're doing everything you can to like put yourself in like a successful or like potential for success position, right? And the whatever, I forgot the guy's name, the successful guy.
Alex Hormozy, yeah.
Yeah, Alex's like insights also seem like fair, but it seems a little unhealthy about like taking, like cutting away your sleep or cutting like sacrificing your health for it. Unless like you're extremely passionate about it, I get it. But like for me, I find it difficult for me to be extremely passionate about something such that I would sacrifice things for, especially like my health. Like, a few hours of sleep here and there, completely fine. I think that's like bound to happen, and I think that's another reason like that I would ask people to like sleep for 8 to 9 hours, because like that builds a reserve for when you have to like pull out all nighters, and then you won't be too messed up by it, and you just have to like sleep in a few extra hours the next day. Like I think as long as you know what works for you, and for me, I know that like I have a set routine where like I have to sleep for like 8 to 9 hours, and like I just do that. And some days I like, if I don't have work, I just end up sleeping for like 10 hours too. Like it's, unless it gets like sometimes it just happens, especially like if I had like a few days where I pulled a few all-nighters or like near all-nighters. So sleep, I think, has always been fine. It's quite dynamic for me. Like I'll just naturally catch up even if I'm like running low. But then like friends, food, nutrition, and like everything else, I think you just need to know what works for you. And for me, like I've worked out that I'll be meeting my friends like every day, but like it may be in a low maintenance context. It may just be in like a work context. It may just be in meals context. But I know that like for the friends that I have, I think that works for them too. So I'm happy, and like with the relationships I have built so far. And then work wise, I know that sometimes I may have to like tone down a few of the other factors, but I'll be able to like take a hit as long as I'm able to catch up soon. But I know that I won't be able to sustain like a lifestyle where I've constantly taking hits into my social life and my sleep, because that will definitely take a toll on me, and I feel very burnt out. And I have done that. That has happened. Like you need to make those mistakes where you kind of like push yourself a bit too much and realize that, okay, fuck, that my limit was like 3-4 days of all-nighters ago. Like I've done way too much, and like I now need the summer break to just like fully detox or like
Recharge.
sleep and rejuvenate, and like just like hang out with friends and stuff like that, not touch any work. So that's happened to me like in my like second and third semesters, like right before the summer. So like I kind of know now like what works for me, and I know when I might be pushing myself a bit too much, and I kind of try and stop myself there if I can. If sometimes I would have procrastinated deadlines that I won't be able to like kind of limit myself from pushing myself too far, but it is what it is. I think the most important part is like knowing your limits, knowing what works for you, and then knowing how much like the limits will help you know how far you can push stuff from your normal state and your normal routine before it gets too unhealthy.
So there's a tradition. There's another podcast called Diary of a CEO. It's run by Stephen Bartlett. Pretty chill guy.
Yeah.
And there's a tradition on his podcast that I've stolen shamelessly. So the last guest leaves a question for the next one.
It's interesting. And I have no information about who the next one.
No, you will. So it was supposed to be Somil, but I forgot about the tradition.
Okay.
So I don't think Somil wrote a question.
Oh wow.
It's like, oh wow, okay. So
Classic song.
someone else wrote a question. No, I forgot to tell him
Okay.
that he has to write one as well. So the tradition is the last guest, Kushal, actually, he left a question for the next guest. Obviously, he didn't know that it's going to be you, right?
Yeah.
So it's in the diary right there.
Oh.
So just open it up, actually. I don't know what the question is either, actually.
I have to like wait, see.
You just keep on going and wait. You just keep on going another page. Is that the last question?
Yeah.
Okay, huh. Just read it out.
If
मुझे भी
you
नहीं पता.
if you were to die tomorrow, what would you do right after this podcast episode / recording ends? Now,
Then philosophy.
damn. Now dare to do that in brackets. That's a hard one, man.
We were talking a lot about like really philosophical things,
Yeah.
which I suppose influenced the question. But
Oh, I see.
yes, nice question, Kushal.
Thank you. For now, I need to think hard about what I hold dear in my life. That's crazy. Might get existential. But like, what sort of do I have to answer this now?
I mean, if you want, yeah,
Yeah,
that's how
That's the structure. That's the
questions. Yeah, that's how podcasts work.
format. Okay, cool. And then after I answer, I have to write down a question for
Yeah,
future
yeah.
guys.
I mean, if you don't want to answer for that's totally cool. But
Yeah, I do not want to answer this because it's way too personal.
okay,
No, I think it's fine. I think it's a solid question, but like my life is like just starting. Like I still feel like very young. Like I just have like my family, some friends that I care about, and I would just like spend time with them. Like what would I do right after this podcast? Like my family lives in Bangkok right now, so like I probably can't.
oh,
Yeah, so like reaching them might be difficult, so I'll probably just like call them and you know talk about, probably not reveal that I'm dying, but like just like have a chill like conversation, make fun of my mom, like make fun of my sister,
huh.
make sure that everything is like fun and like captures the normal family experience that I would look back on. And then I'll go spend time with my friends at Ashoka and call my friends back home and do similar things. And yeah, I'd probably not tell anyone that I'm dying if I'm dying tomorrow, because like then that would muddy the final experiences.
I
And then,
suppose so.
yeah, what else would I do outside relationships? Because like at the end of the day, like what else matters? Like that I don't care. I would not do my thesis today. Like I was gonna go work on my thesis right now. I probably won't do that, knowing that I'm dying tomorrow. Um, yeah. Do you know what you would do?
Not really. I mean, I honestly don't know. Just help people with their not what, just help people in general.
Yeah.
That seems.
And one day you would go and help as many people as you can.
Dude, just buying someone a free meal, stuff like that. Not even telling them that you bought them, just paying for their meal. Going to a shopping center, paying for their groceries, like stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, if there's one thing you could change about Ashoka, what would be? Oh, that's a good one. Do you want to answer that first?
Me?
Yeah, as a first year
Okay.
who hasn't had much experience at Ashoka, what would you change?
Okay, maybe this is not exclusive to Ashoka, but maybe it's exclusive to young people in general. I find it much easier to be around older people.
I see.
In the sense,
Like
they
old, or as in like me?
No,
like,
just-
a few years older than you.
no. So
Okay.
obviously, there's a huge difference between when you're 18 and 22.
Yeah.
Especially with guys I've seen,
Mhm.
we go through a huge mental transformation.
We take some time.
Yeah.
To our female counterparts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, उनका तो semester में ही साल जितना हो
Yeah.
जाता है. We take so much time.
Yeah.
But of course, seniors, I just find it to be more comfortable. But people like who are usually 26,
Hmm.
25 to I'd say 40
Hmm.
is my range. Where 18 to 22, I find it rather difficult to mesh in with them. Because I feel like I've been through a lot of the things that they've already they're going through right now in
Right.
real time.
Right.
So it's a bit hard for me to relate to them or just watch the same fucking shit unfold. But Ashoka is pretty much a utopia. I mean, I can't really complain much.
Yeah.
I really like this place.
That's good.
What about you?
Yeah, even I am quite fond of Ashoka, despite like I don't know. Most people in my batch for some reason do not like Ashoka. Like you guys seem to be fine. Like you guys seem to
My
be happy
batch?
with Ashoka. Yeah, like the
I have no
junior
idea
batch.
about my batch, honestly.
Okay. But like I seem to get the impression that like the older you get, the more cynical and the more like I mean
Yeah, that's what Somal said as well.
Yeah.
Kushal gave me the opposite
Really?
impression.
you get like you start liking Ashoka more the more time you spend in it.
Yeah, so he got really emotional when he was talking about leaving Ashoka.
Yeah.
He was still finding it hard to comprehend the fact that in just a couple of, like, back in 6 weeks, all of this would be over on
Yeah.
this college journey. Even Somil, he talked about how he fears being lonely after
Oh
Ashoka
yeah, definitely.
in Washington,
Yeah.
like thousands of kilometers away.
Yeah.
Because here you're constantly bumping into
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
right? So this is not gonna happen outside.
Mm.
As I'm sure you would have seen in your first summer break.
Mhm.
So off-campus summer
Yeah.
break. So third semester onwards.
It's like a rehab period. Like you're constantly bombarded with like interaction, especially because in my first semester, like everyone's trying to like make friends and like
Mhm.
everyone's trying to expedite that process too because like we were deprived of 1 year in on physical college.
Uh-huh.
So like it was I think normal first semesters but on steroids, like friend groups forming and breaking over the course of like weeks
Got
and
that.
things like that. And like yeah, it definitely felt like a proper detox or like a rehab. Like you could kind of feel like withdrawal symptoms kicking in sometimes from like not having enough interactions. You're like constantly checking your phone for like some sort of like dopamine hit from like social activity, things like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Holy shit.
That happens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really use social media that much, so yeah, I should just avoid the hit that I get. But question for the next guest.
Man.
You don't tell me, because that'll be a surprise for me as well.
All right. And can I assume that this next guest is also from Ashoka?
Yeah.
Okay.